I work at American University. I'm a geographer, but I work in a library, so I am learning to be a librarian. And my talk here is a little bit about a thing that I'm trying to work on. So most of what I do at AU is actually digital. I do GIS software for people. I help them with web maps. A lot of the data that I work with and I buy is digital. But we do have a very small reference collection of atlases and maps. And by small, I mean there's like 100 atlases. Very small. And when I got there a couple years ago, I decided I really wanted to learn more about this collection, which gets me out of my office into the stacks, roaming around. I love it. It's fun. I found some interesting things, but the one that I want to talk to about is this. This is our one and only map cabinet. It looks like someone threw it down some stairs. In fact, right before I came to AU, they in fact had taken our reference floor, which was the first floor of the library, and they reorganized it. This used to live there. They moved it and didn't write down where they moved it to. So it was missing for about 3 years. There are only 3 floors in the library, so missing is kind of like, it was missing in the card catalog. You could find it. So I wandered around, I located it. This lovely thing contains all of the maps that we have. We never had a map librarian, so why there are maps in here is actually sort of a mystery. Don't know who did it. Most of them are taken out of National Geographic magazines. There's a few things from the State Department for some reason. We're not a deposit library, so I don't know how we have some deposit items. They've just sort of turned up. But my favorite thing, this unlabeled drawer here in the middle, this one's stuck. This is also on our quiet floor. So me prying this open and swearing a lot about doing it was rather loud. But I got it open finally, and I found this. And I promise all my photographs are not from my phone. Just this one. So this is the, also, I realized this morning, I studied French in school for many years. I don't speak French anymore. I read French. So I'm going to butcher the French language right now, and I apologize to anyone who actually speaks French. So this is the Atlas de Paris et la Région Parisienne. It's from 1967. Hereafter, I'm referring to this as the Atlas. There's about 95 sheets in this thing, so about 350 maps total. And once I found this, I went on a deep dive about why do we have this and what is it? And again, I said, not all my pictures are from my phone. So this is the frontispiece for this. This was a big deal. So this was published in 1967, so it's the first large-scale post-war map of Paris and its surrounding regions. The previous map had been done in 1900. It was exclusively of the city, so this was a massive undertaking that happened. And it was actually a bit of a competitive thing in the mid-1960s. Lots of cities were in post-war Europe remapping themselves, mapping their expansion, their growth. Mentioned in the preface here by the city's he is the representative of the government to Paris, which sort of explains the role of Paris in France, right? That Paris doesn't have a representative to the government has a representative to Paris. He mentions that they're really on their way right now because they beat a map of London that was supposed to have come out before them. But there's a team of about 120 people that actually make this atlas. It takes them 5 years. Each sheet in the atlas is actually the work of an individual cartographer or sometimes a group of cartographers. It's led by a pair of French geographers, both of whom were presidents of the Society of Geographers. And this is where I'm, again, going to destroy the French language. Jacqueline Bugeaud-Garnier, she was the first woman to teach geography at the Sorbonne. She actually is involved in several of the Paris maps that happened at the same time. And then Jean-Baptiste. He also was a president of the French Geography Society. She was from 83 to 95. She passed away in 95, and he took over until his death in like 2009. Both very important French geographers. They led this group. This was actually the 4th map in a series of maps about France. The first map was the map of the East, which is in 61. The map of the North is in map of the East is 60, map of the North is 61. Normandy had come out in installments because it was such a big deal. Normandy's quite large. Paris took 5 years. It comes out, and the idea here was that they were going to map all of Paris, all of France again by 1970. I don't know that they actually succeeded in that task. But the idea was that they were going to have all the same scale, all the same kinds of statistics. so that you would have this set of comparable atlases across the entire country. This is the list of maps in the folio. I imagine I have 10 minutes left. Yes. Okay, good. Way too tiny, but this is telling you there's 95 sheets in here. So of these, 46 were actually required. All of the atlases have the same 46 core maps, but depending on where you were mapping, you could actually add more information. So one of the map sets has maps of vineyards, Normandy has fishing, Paris has a whole lot of cultural stuff. These are the required maps in English, AI generated. It is correct, it's just badly formatted. There's a book that actually goes along with this, a whole book of statistics that I found hiding in our stacks, so separated from the maps, but all of the stats that actually belong to these maps also are part of it. So I'm going to skip to the maps part because I only have a few minutes left. This is the first map. I love this map. This basically sums up the entire atlas. This is Paris as the center of the universe. It is a polar projection with Paris dead center. The French ethos. It's also showing you Paris in addition to these 5 other global cities. These are places that were also making atlases at the same time. So this is partially a comparison. And it's defining the city in several different ways, right? It's the downtown urban core, it's the metropolitan area, it's the old city. But they're encapsulating so much information in these very small little pictures. You can also see the role of Paris in Europe, and you can see the role of Paris in all of France. More beautiful maps. This one is the formation of streets over time in Paris. So the way that they would have had to go and get this data in 1967, right? They're having to comb through previous atlases. They're going to pretty much every single source of statistics in France, trying to find all of this data and compiling it. We also have, this is really cool. This is all the houses in Paris, when they were built and what they were made of. Yeah, I think there's also a thing on here about how many rooms they have. If you have a garden, it's marked. I figured it's NACIS, I have to show you the maps, right? A map of all the green space in Paris, to include telling you which boulevards have trees, which was not usually included in the maps at the time. This one's really cool. Part of what I'm learning in going through these maps is that I don't know a whole lot about the different design choices that are used. This apparently is a particular French cartographer who did these kind of designs for agricultural maps. And in some of the things I was reading, I've been reading a lot of book reviews of the atlas that came out at the time. So if you write book reviews, people do read them eventually. Explaining like how this is novel, that they're doing this and using this in this new kind of way. They like multiple miniatures, lots of color, lots of data. This is 1967, and there's no computers being used at this. The folks who actually printed this have this really kind of novel photographic system that they're using. So someone is drawing these, and they're being transferred and photographed and the whole deal. So trying to do transit maps and flow maps of massive amounts of data in a limited range of colors, because all the colors have to match across all of the atlases. These things are just amazing. So I have more because there's like 95. How can I choose? So I did, in the slides, there's a link to an online version of the map where you can see all of them. But yeah, the colors are beautiful. These are gorgeous. This is my favorite. I have no idea what this map means. So there's no translation of this document or of the 500-page statistics book it came with. So I read French, but very slowly, and technical French is hard. So I am slowly working my way through the description of what these statistics are. This is showing you different industrial regions in Paris. They're stripy. I don't know why they're stripy. I'm learning as I go. But I really love this map. There was an exhibition of this map in Paris a few years ago, and this was the map they put on everything, because it's the really cool, weird one. But after I dug all these things out, right, so I hatched this idea that we should have a museum-style exhibit in our GIS lab, which I also am in charge of. So really important thing to note, at American, we don't have a geography department, and we don't have any cartography classes. So I am putting this in the lab where the folks who are using our GIS computers largely are doing this for environmental analysis, policy analysis. Cartography is the last thing on their minds. They're working their way through Esri tutorials. So I am trying to introduce them the idea that maps can be beautiful. They can actually, you can learn things from them. Part of this was also teaching the folks that I work with that maps are important. So this is a clearly AI-generated image. To do my museum-style thing, I needed to put something outside the lab to tell people there's something in here you want to see that is not a Windows computer. Come in. So I had to mock up a version of what a museum-style graphic would look like outside the door to convince them to let me do this. So this is a work in progress. Clearly, I've also used the same map. AI has really done weird things with that weird map. So these are my goals for my exhibit. Again, we don't have cartography classes, just GIS. So I'm trying to get students to sort of understand that the historical and academic significance of a map and atlas like this, to show them sort of how the style of maps has evolved over time and how data visualization has evolved over time. We do, in fact, have a data science program. Kind of get them to think about how cartography works with the analysis that they're doing, and to sort of give them a model for how give our researchers a model for how they might integrate contemporary mapping techniques in their research. And these are my themes. So I have 4 themes. I have 4 semesters that this runs over. I swap the maps out every semester. There's about 10 maps that I'm able to hang. So my first one here is Atlas as a narrative. So I'm actually teaching students about how atlases work to combine information into an actual story. They're very used to story maps, but they're less used to actually creating an atlas. Next semester is cartographic design, which I'm really excited about. And then these are far enough away, I haven't really gotten a lot of work done on them, because as you may have noticed, I'm not showing you pictures of the final project of mice and men, right? So things got away from me. This is a work in progress. So every semester, we have new maps. There's a tutorial and a web page that goes with this, so people can actually learn how to make some of these things. This is where I am so far. The theme of my GIS lab is gray. This is also my poor attempt at making a panorama. Clearly, that's only 3 walls. We have 4. The 4th one is blank. At the time I took this, I was still working with facilities to get more of the rails hung. I scavenged these from the library. They hadn't been used in a long time because everyone uses digital, or they print things on vinyl and stick it to the wall. So I had to get facilities to take these down and paint. And so I've hung all the maps. The labels are missing. This weird little table actually gets a poster on the front that explains what an atlas is. But it's a work in progress. It's coming along, and just having anything on the walls looks better than it did before. So am I moving forward? Because I'm moving very slowly. So I'm still working on the mapping tutorials. Turns out those take a lot of time. I'm trying to encourage the students to be creative and sort of experiment, and so you have these sort of inspirational images around them. So the first one for the atlas's narrative is really just teaching them how to compose an atlas in regular GIS software. I'm going low stakes. The next one, though, for cartographic design, I'm kind of excited about. I can't really teach them a whole lot about cartographic design, but what I'm teaching them is how to copy cartographic design. So how to look at one of those maps, see the pieces that make it up, how the font is made, the line weights, the colors, and then learn the tools that they can actually use in GIS to steal those things, basically. And having copied the art a few times, that they might learn actually how to experiment and choose their own combinations and kind of move forward that way. But yeah, I have learned that you can't do this kind of thing in a LibGuide. If you're a librarian, they're blogs for librarians. They don't work as well as the websites do. So I'm creating a new website for this, but hopefully you will get to see, it'll be on my GitHub. You get to see it when it's finished. I'll put all the stuff there, but that's it for me. Did I make time, Nat? I did, fabulous. And I do have references, and there's the link so that you can see all the maps. So thank you very much.